How's it going, everyone? In this video, we have some big news on Charlotte Flair, AJ Styles, and a whole lot more. But before we begin, please make sure to drop a like on this video. I would really appreciate it. Alright guys, so for our first story of today, we have some news that an ex-WWE star has debuted for TNA. So after several WWE stars were released from the company in April, many of them ended up signing and eventually making their debut for TNA. Well, it looks like another ex-WWE star has now done just that, because during the latest TNA Impact Wrestling taping, ex-WWE star Xia Li made her official TNA debut, where she will now go by her new ring name, Ying Lee, from this point forward. Next, we have some news that a longtime female star is done wrestling for WWE, because according to a new report from Fightful Select, although she has been a part of the company for well over 10 years, WWE veteran Tamina is no longer active with WWE. She is not at the shows, she's not on internal rosters, she's not wrestling anymore, and she hasn't worked in quite a while. But as it has been previously stated, Tamina could remain a part of WWE in some capacity, as she has long been seen as a locker room leader and mother figure for many wrestlers. Next, we have some big news on the real reason why AJ Styles is still missing from WWE television. So despite the fact that AJ Styles did wrestle multiple times during WWE's recent overseas tour in Japan and Europe, for some reason, AJ Styles has still not returned to WWE television ever since he lost to Cody Rhodes at Clash at the Castle back in June. Well, according to a new report from Fightful Select, AJ Styles is healthy and not injured, as many fans have speculated. And the reason for his absence is simply because he's just not being used. And as of this moment, his return remains unknown. Moving on to our next story, we have some very bad news for Charlotte Flair. So even though there were reports saying that Charlotte Flair would be back in WWE by November to reportedly feud with Nia Jax, from the looks of it, that is not the case at all, because according to a new report from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, WWE sources have now confirmed that Charlotte Flair is still not cleared, and those within the company believe that there will be some time before she can return to in-ring competition. Moreover, until she is cleared to compete, it is unlikely that WWE creative will be put in place. So now guys, I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on all of the stories that we discussed today. Starting off with our first story, we did talk about an ex-WWE star, that being Xia Li, officially making her TNA Impact Wrestling debut. And in my opinion guys, I do think that following many WWE stars who were released by the company several months ago, I think it is awesome that they did find a new place, that being TNA Impact Wrestling. And many ex-WWE stars like Xia Li, also Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, and also Dana Brooke ended up joining Impact Wrestling, and they did pretty much change their whole character, change their names. And I do think that going to TNA Impact Wrestling is awesome, and it is a very good option aside from AEW, that they can go there and, you know, perhaps show what they weren't able to show in WWE. And it obviously, with TNA's new partnership with WWE NXT, it does open the door for a potential return, which I think is really awesome. The other story that we talked about was that a longtime WWE star is no longer on the active list, and that person is Tamina, who has been with the company for well over 10 years now. It does look like she is no longer going to be used as a wrestler, and that makes sense because I don't even know the last time she did wrestle for WWE. Tamina is someone who is, I believe she is 46 years old, and she hasn't competed. However, I do think that WWE will end up keeping her in some role. I do think that right now she is being she is viewed as a locker room leader and someone that many wrestlers, especially the female new talent, can, go to for advice, and someone who has that experience and that can give it. I think that Tamina could be excellent in that role, and I'm pretty sure that is how she is being used today. The other story that we talked about was on AJ Styles and why he is still missing from WWE television, which is pretty crazy in my opinion, because AJ has not been seen on Friday Night SmackDown ever since he lost to Cody Rhodes, which is very surprising because if you remember, there were reports just a few weeks ago saying that AJ Styles was expected to return before Bash in Berlin. Now, obviously, Bash in Berlin is in the past, in the rearview mirror, and AJ is still being, I guess the best way to say it is that WWE Creative has nothing for AJ Styles at this point in time, which is very surprising in my opinion because AJ Styles is still a very, very good wrestler and very popular as well. So to have him, to keep him on the sidelines, despite the fact that he is healthy and not injured, is a head scratcher in my opinion. But hopefully WWE Creative can come up with something for AJ Styles so he can return, presumably after Bad Blood. So hopefully after that event is finished, AJ Styles could make his return to WWE television finally. The other story that we talked about was some pretty unfortunate news for Charlotte Flair, to say the least. Now, as we all know, Charlotte has been out of action for several months now after suffering multiple very serious injuries. I do believe she did suffer an ACL tear, MCL tear, and various other knee injuries that has kept her on the sideline for many, many months. And despite the fact that there have been some reports over the past few weeks, pretty recently, they did report that Charlotte Flair was expected to return to WWE by November and that her potential feud would be against Nia Jax for her championship. But apparently that is not the case because Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select did report that he did get some information from his WWE sources. And apparently, Charlotte Flair is not even cleared yet to return to in-ring competition. So hopefully Charlotte Flair is able to get cleared by WWE doctors so she can return to the ring. Now, it does look like she may not be back in time by November, and she may not even be back this year, perhaps in 2025. So with that being said, guys, that is all of the news that we have for today. Please make sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of the stories that we discussed today. So a quick recap, we did talk about Xia Li making her in-ring debut. She is now going by Ying Lee. We also talked about Tamina no longer being on WWE's active list. We also talked about why AJ Styles is still missing from WWE television. And we also talked about Charlotte Flair, who is sadly not expected to be back in November, and perhaps she may be out of action until 2025. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.